Hey guys, it's Brian Storm. In this video, there's going to be a mix of topics that we're going to be talking about, but the ultimate goal here is to take your game to the next level. If you're a Division 10 player, the information provided in this video will take you to a Division 9 player, except that's not really saying much. So maybe a few divisions early on, and then later on, go from like Division 5 to Division 4, Division 2 to Division 1, then from Division 1 you go for the league title, and from the league title you try to get a perfect record. So when you get that far, you probably have your own way of playing the game. So you may not even need my videos. If that's okay. Right now in the background there's some Division 1 gameplay of Hut. The guy I'm playing against, he wasn't that great. He was probably on the border between Division 1 and Division 2, probably relegating constantly. For the most part, I was doing everything right and playing some great hockey. You don't have to watch it though, as the topics that I'm going to be talking about don't pertain to the video. So you can just listen to what I'm going to say instead. The first thing that I'm going to talk about is patience, and it's both in-game and out of the game. We're going to start in-game first because this is more of an NHL 17 video rather than just competitive gaming. Patience is an important attribute to have in this series because you never want to be the person making the first move. You want to be the person who reacts to whatever your opponent is doing. You want to counter their movement and their stick handling similar to the way you counter face-offs. This also applies to both offense and defense. Defensively, one of my favorite things to do is sit a certain distance away from the person with the puck, and then have them do a pointless deke right in front of you. You know how the animation works, you know where they're going to end up with the puck. Because you can't cancel a deke halfway through, you can either go for a big hit because the person's going to end up there, or you can get your poke check ready because you know where the puck's going to end up on his stick afterward. Positioning goes hand in hand with patience when it comes to defense. You guys have seen my videos on high percentage shots, you've seen my videos on breaking the cycle, so you know where the most dangerous parts on the ice are. You have to expect that your opponent is trying to get to those spots to take those shots. If he's anywhere else, you can let him have it. Let him skate around all he wants. But remember that whenever he's ready to go and take the shot, your person needs to be in position to be able to poke check the puck. You don't have to go for the poke check when he's just skating around. You also need to know where everyone else is on the ice so that when you commit to the play, you'll know what happens next. You have to predict what's going to happen and then watch as it happens, just so that you can learn the game and expect similar results in the future. On offense, I'm always watching the guy that my opponent is controlling. In most cases, I do start by rushing in to try to get a breakaway, but when he doesn't let me get that, I have to go back to try to set something up on the rush. So then I look at my opponent. How aggressive is he playing? What's his positioning? Is he trying to go for a hit? Is he trying to go for a poke check? Is he trying to wait me out so his defenders can back check? Is he trying to lure me into the boards? Is he trying to lure me into his other defender, who's the AI? There's a lot that goes into it. So once you weigh it out and figure out what your opponent's trying to do, you then try to do something else so that it screws up your opponent's thought process, much like chess. The idea of being patient on the offense is to try to get as close to the net as possible before you try to shoot. Personally, if I'm not in a high percentage area, I'm not going to take the shot. I try to do a little moves and just get out of the situation, and just pray and see what happens. Unless I have another player sitting in front of the net waiting for a rebound. There are certain little moves, little stick handles that I do that tend to confuse the opponent quite a bit. I've shown you guys in a previous episode on how they work, and that's just my method of escaping with the puck. Going back to getting as close to the net as possible, I think one of the most important things about your shot in this game is you need some momentum. If you're standing still by the blue line, you're not going to score unless it bounces off your stick or someone's skate or body. So that's why I always skate towards the middle of the offensive zone, the slot, to take a lot of my shots because that's the most dangerous part of the ice. In some cases, you have to react to the goalie's movement. This is especially true if you're going up against a player goalie. But goalies of all kind will try to cheat. They'll stick to one side. Because of that, there's no chance that you're going to score on that one side. This is usually a result of the goalie's vision. If the goalie is getting screened, he'll tend to leave one of the sides open, meaning the other side is where you're going to shoot. This happens a lot when you go into the slot because technically if you take a slap shot from there and aim it top left or top right, it's just as dangerous. I usually say shoot at the side where you come from, where you're skating from. But if a goalie's being screened, you can shoot at the other side because there's less chance of it hitting bodies. Alright, but that's enough about patience in the game as it's cutting into the next topic I'm going to be talking about. Patience outside of the game is a completely different animal. Even after watching all these different videos, don't expect to be a Division 1 player overnight. Unless you're a Division 1 player already, then overnight I guess you will continue to be a Division 1 player, yes. But in other cases, it just takes practice, it takes time. You have to get a feel for all the different mechanics before you can master them. Whenever you play a bad game, don't get discouraged, don't get distraught, and in my opinion, don't even play another game until tomorrow, where you'll be in a better mood and ready to play. That is, unless you're the type who feeds off of losses and comes back with a vengeance to kick some butt. But not a lot of people are like that, including myself. After a bad performance in one game, or you feel like the game's just doing whatever it can to award you a loss, that mindset will carry over into the next game. So it's best if you come back in a better mood and get ready to play later. In NHL 15, I became a victim of this, where when I lost, I would play the next few games, and they would all result in losses. Unless, of course, it was someone who was significantly worse than me, then I guess it would brighten up the mood. But I'm talking about equally skilled players. So then in 16, I switched things up. I did exactly what I just told you guys, and I very rarely had more than one loss in a row. For those very limited on time where you have to get your games in, just feel free to try a different game mode. Something like shootouts, where you don't take it as seriously. It'll pretty much clear up your memory, clear up your mood. The next topic that I want to talk about is what I was circling around when I was talking about patience, and that is learning and adapting. Playing the game should be an ever-evolving experience. You need to analyze your performance overall, figure out what you could have done better, and chip away at the individual mistakes that you made. These mistakes could have led to goals, they could have led to scoring chances where your goalie bailed you out. Offensively, it could be something that led to you turning the puck over. It could be something where you got into a bad position and you didn't know what to do. You have to look at all these different scenarios and think what you could have done differently. You may not have them happen for a while, especially if you're playing a different player. Just by thinking about them, your brain may recognize that situation, and then that's when you can try something different. In more obvious cases, like defensively, someone maybe does a little deke that gets through you and scores a goal. You just need to remind yourself to be patient and not fall for the same trick. And that again is through the art of reinforcement, where the more you see it, the more it happens to you, the more you expect it, and the more you'll try for it to not happen again. Nobody here is gonna play the perfect game. They're not gonna do everything that they want to do. But if you can think of the perfect game, you'll be able to mold your own gameplay as close as possible to that. So take every loss as a learning experience. Every goal, every shot, every play should be a learning experience. Just a little adjustment here or there could mean a lot. Now, hockey being the fastest game on earth, that's not exactly the easiest thing to do. If you can just record your gameplay in any way possible, it doesn't have to be with the capture card, it could just be the console's features where you record the past few minutes, or you can just look at the in-game instant replay, which will show you the last period of so in gameplay for you. While it may not be ideal, just go back over it and just study it and pick out what you could have done differently. The worst time for me to be playing the game, at least for my record, is at the beginning of the year. While overall the way that I approach the game doesn't really change, from NHL 16 to NHL 17, there are different mechanics that work better than others. So at the beginning of the year, I lose a few matches before I can get a feel for the game. Those games also look pretty bad too. But it's during that time that I figure out what works in this game. I figure out the goalies for what kind of shots I should be taking. I figure out AI tendencies so that I can see what they are likely to do. I figure out my positioning, my passing, the mechanics of the game, and see if I should be changing things around. It's also within the first few games where I figure out what the players themselves are doing this year. So you pretty much need to do that same thing with each of your games. See what works for you and what doesn't work for you. You can even compare it to my game, see how I play. And no, I'm not Jesus Christ reincarnated. I'm going to make mistakes, and a lot of people are not going to agree with how I play. But it's what works for me, I enjoy it, and it allows me to focus on all the different areas because I know what my best possible move would be. Going back into the game, you need to figure out what your opponent wants to do. And unless you're playing against Division 1 players, everyone's going to be pretty much one-dimensional. They won't have a variety of moves. they won't know how to score from different places. They'll keep trying to go for the same shot in the same position all the time, unless they have an unpredictable play style but they don't know how to score. You need to figure out what's keeping them going and shut them down. Much like in the real NHL, when you have a team like the Washington Capitals with Ovi, the focus is don't let Ovi get the puck. So that's the same idea here. It doesn't matter what kind of team your opponent has. You play patient, you figure out what he's trying to do, you'll be able to stop him. You can pretty much wait for him because you know where he's going to end up, and he's just going to look so lost out there. Actually, that breakaway move I just scored is the epitome of that. This guy saw me go for the backhand earlier in the game, so he switched to his goalie, and he wanted to stop that. I noticed at the last second because I was also going to go for that backhand move again. Slowed down a little bit, and I ended up going forehand instead. When I play against someone who likes to block a lot of shots, I'll end up doing my normal routine for the first few shots until I recognize that he's doing it. When he does it, all it takes is just faking a shot and moving a little bit over so that he gets back up and then taking the shot again. Or you can aim in a completely different area like what I was talking about earlier so that he can't block the shot and you're still taking a pretty decent shot. Same applies to someone who is taking away your passing lane. It's a 2-on-1 situation. You're trying to figure out what this guy's going to do. If you're playing Ishol, his first thought is you're going to go for the pass so that you don't look like a jackass in front of your teammate. Watch his movements. If he's being aggressive on you, you go for that pass. Then take a quick shot for the one-timer. If he's taking away the passing lane, you have to treat it like a breakaway where it's just you and the goalie, but you can't go to pretty much the other half of the ice. Well, this is actually the goal that I was talking about. I was skating to the middle of the slot. Instead of shooting left where I usually do, I shot right because the net was wide open. But back to this 2-on-1 scenario, this guy could dive early by putting either his whole body on the ice or his stick on the ice to try to take away the passing lane. And what you can do is just wait for him to get back up or go around him before you pass the puck. Saucer passes aren't really my thing this year. They may be in the future, but trying to get the puck over him doesn't really work out too well. If you make him believe that you're going to go for that little breakaway move, that might get him up faster for you to actually end up passing the puck. You can wait for the very last possible second as long as your teammate doesn't overskate past the net to take this one-timer. In other cases, when it's a 3-on-2 and there's a lot of space between the guy that you have furthest back and everyone else, give it to that guy because that will open a lot of opportunities. One of the things that I like to do, if you've been watching for the past 2 minutes of this gameplay footage, is whenever I have the puck along the blue line, like I just intercept it, I immediately get rid of it with a quick slap shot. I absolutely deplore having the puck there because it's so easily pokeable, or it could be an offside. Just get rid of it and good things could happen. So I really don't think you guys should be having any problems against someone who's very one-dimensional. It's when you get into D1 where things can become kind of a problem when people have different ways of scoring, different ways of playing the game. Shutting someone down one way is fine, but shutting someone down everywhere, that's tough. And that's what sets apart the elite players from everyone else. They'll recognize that you're shutting them down one way, so they'll just go another way. And from there, you kind of just have to put on certain weight. What would you rather let this opponent have? You guys know some of the greatest players also have the best cycle game. No, I'm not talking about the synergy. And when they do that, they'll easily get you out of position. That's why I like the collapsing defensive style the most, because even if they get one of your players out of position, you'll still probably be able to rebound with another player nearby. And so in most games that I play, I give people the D-to-D one-timer if they prove to me that they can score from other areas of the ice. Because I personally have learned I can't stop them everywhere. Maybe other players can, but I just learned it was too much, and this is going to be a garbage goal coming up for me. Ew, I don't deserve that one. But keeping this open as my weakness, I also learn what I can do better in situations where people cycle the puck. You'll notice I go and block shots most of the time. But the ultimate goal when I do that is to get as close as possible to them so I can poke it and get a breakaway. I don't want to give them the shot, so that's why I have to move up closer and try to get into their shooting lane when I do that. And that's why even though someone cycles the puck against me, it's still very dangerous for them to do that because their defensemen are pretty much their last hope. If I can take the puck away from them, it's game over. Alright, the last topic that I want to discuss in this video is focus and comfort. Every game that you play that impacts your record, you have to take seriously. You may be up by a few goals, but the guy that you're playing against may just have a couple of bad bounces go against him. You have to keep this in mind against everyone that you play against so that they don't come back against you. You may think the game is pretty much over, but the guy is probably thinking that he's going to try to score and turn this game around. It might be a little different when you're up by a few goals and there's only a few minutes left in the third period. Stick with what's working, what you're doing right. Don't skate around for fun, but instead focus. One of my buddies in Eschel, I was playing goalie and we were down by 2 goals in the third period. He ends up going very aggressive and gets the last 2 goals that we needed to tie the game up. After he gets the game-tying goal, he said, "I'm going to play conservative now." I'm telling him, no you're not. You're doing amazing by playing so aggressively. You should keep it up, because he was pretty much like suffocating and not letting them do what they're comfortable with. So again, stick to what's working. Adapt if it's not. What helps me focus as well is the way that I sit. Sorry, but if you're playing on the bed or leaning back, you're just not going to play as well as you're capable of. If you're playing too far away from the TV, you're also not going to play as well. That doesn't mean get your eyes as close to the TV as possible, because that's bad for you. But you have to find that optimal distance where it all works out. Leaning forward also helps you get serious and stay focused as well, but that's bad posture, so don't do it as often. Something that could also help is getting a PC monitor where there's less of a delay with how things show up. It will certainly help you play better. Getting a headset that will allow you to hear game volume will also keep you in the game. Don't be in game chat while you're playing, otherwise you'll be able to hear the other person and they might just trash talk to take you out of the game. Also, make sure that you're always playing on a good connection, a green bar, because your connection also affects how well you play. The 1 minute rule exists for a reason, and it might not even be this one. Finally, remember to just enjoy yourself. You bought the game to have fun, not to be frustrated. So with that being said, thanks for watching, and
EA Sports.
It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?